that your knowledge would be better served if you were your own boss? Your knowledge can help more people improve their workplace safety. Most of what you know may be wasting in a job that limits what you can do for the overall health and safety of workers. Now is the time to start your own business while you're still working for your current employer. Start your own safety consultant business with the Safety Consultant Blueprint course. Get your business legal in just a week. Brand yourself as an authority in safety, even on a shoestring budget. No more stressing about how to price your services fairly, but still make a profit. And experience the amazing feeling of being your own boss. This 100% online video course is instructor-led and will give you detailed steps to keep you focused as to what to do next to grow your business. Lay out strategies to keep you maximizing your marketing and networking efforts. And explain how to get money in between clients. Register today at safetyconsultantblueprint.com and enter the code PODCAST.
What issues am I talking about? I am talking about issues with credit. Imagine being able to work on your credit report from the comfort of your own home. No weird salesperson telling you to dispute everything. Just straightforward, no nonsense on what to do, step by step to work on your credit report. This is not just a credit education service, but it's also a community of other like-minded individuals having the same struggles. For more information, go to issueswithcredit.com. The Issues with Credit community will be with you every step of the way. Issueswithcredit.com, a 13th hour solution venture.
Well, I've always wanted to use my talents for good. I used to work with kids to make short films, prevention-related short films. You know, don't be a bully, don't use drugs, violence, things of that nature. And so I kind of fell into safety, excuse the pun there, because it was another opportunity to do good work. And I had already taken acting for years, and I was approached by somebody who's like, hey, I want to use acting in terms of my safety message. And so I wrote up this basic script, and that's 8 years ago. And ever since then, I've really enjoyed using my acting talents to prevent fatalities and injury.
Yeah. What gave you the idea? Well, first, before we even get to that, so describe your service. You tell me, like, I call you for what? What am I looking for when I call you?
Well, what you're looking for is you're a safety specialist, or you're a safety manager for a company, and you're looking for a supplement for your meetings and some interactivity for your meetings. You know, I mean, you have to have the PowerPoints and and all these other things, but you're looking for a way to involve your attendees. Yeah. And so basically what happens is that throughout your meeting, you go through your things, but all your attendees have a 5-minute time slot. I'm in an adjacent room, and they come see me and tell me that my son just died on the work site under their watch.
Wow.
And I take them through that 5-minute emotional roller coaster one by one. And at the end of the day, there's a discussion about an interactive discussion about what they experienced. And it really changes hearts as well as minds, I believe. So
now your script, or is it, or you should say, are you scripted in what you do, or is it just pretty much off the cuff? Each situation will be different.
Well, the attendees are given a basic write-up about what they need to say. They need to say what happened, what's happening next, all these things, OSHA's there, and all the information. So they are given some basic things to say. Now, I have a really rough script, basically, that I take them through all these emotions, and I have to improvise because everybody delivers, differently. So it's a loose script, and but they always walk out that door going, whoa.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you do any recording of some of these sessions?
So with the last session I did, they actually wanted to I'm actually a video professional on the side.
Okay.
So they wanted to record one of the sessions so that everybody, because the whole audience couldn't participate. It was a really large audience. So they recorded one of the sessions so that everybody could and all the attendees can see it at the end of the day, what, all the participants went through.
Yeah,
so that's
excellent.
Too.
How do you counteract those guys who come in, they got their sunglasses on, and they're just now being told they're going to have to act, and all of a sudden they get into the goofy, middle school type of behavior? What do you do?
Oh, sure. There's always one or two, those guys who are just going through the motions. They're told to show up to safety day and, let's get this over with. Having seen probably 300, 400 individuals at this point, I've learned how to turn that against them. It's hard to explain, but they don't want to be there. So I really tap into that and I drag them into this. And the next thing you know, they're participating and they didn't even know how.
Yeah.
So they're always going to have a few, but they always walk out the door the same when they're done with me.
And how long have you been doing this now?
About eight and a half years now. And I've done all over across the country. So I've seen everybody from every walk of life, every background you can imagine.
Is there a target person that you say there might be a certain industry that keeps calling you back over another industry?
I get a lot of electric and mining, because the higher the risk, the more for my need for my services.
Okay, that's cool. How do you find them?
Well, LinkedIn is my best friend. Repeat business is my best friend. And networking with folks such as yourself who are really leading the way in helping others. That's basically the three tenets there.
Oh, cool. So you're basically actively looking through the LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's been really good for that. I use it myself for a lot of having to go through and say, all right, I want to work with this company. I'll go through LinkedIn. I'll say, all right, who are the decision makers or who may be the gatekeepers, and then I'll connect. I'm not one of these guys that throws in that email, as soon as the connection goes in and says, all right, here's me, and you just blurt everything out, because it doesn't give them the opportunity to know you, like you, trust you. Imagine your wife or girlfriend or partner, and then all of a sudden, the first time you meet them, marry me. Right. That's not going to work well, right?
Sure. But that's another challenge of mine is nobody's actively going, hey, I think I want some guy to come to my safety meeting and do what I do. It's so unique. So it's hard for me because I have to really reach out and explain what I do, because it's not something I can explain in a sentence. So that's a challenge for me. So I have to directly go to people and explain what it is I do and how it integrates into their safety meeting. So that's a challenge I have because it's so unique. Nobody's actively looking for what I do.
Yeah. How do you tell them? Let's say I needed to, you get a hold of me on LinkedIn and I'm piqued. I'm kind of interested. And I'm like, wow, this is a really good idea to interact or to actually have a dramatization of a fatality or a catastrophe. And from that question that I would ask you, then what do you deliver to that person to let them either see it or to let them to get an understanding of what you do?
Well, I start my conversations with people with what can I do for you in terms of sharing what you do, sharing your business. You know what I mean? I feel like you have to want your back scratched. You got to scratch others' back. So I start the conversation with, you have something that you want to promote, whether it's a business or whatever. And then I lean into, hey, by the way, I do this, spread the word if you want, or, hire me, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And do you point them to your YouTube channel or any podcasts or anything like that so they could kind of see what you're doing?
Sure. My main marketing materials is my website, www.reenactions.com. I also
How do you spell that?
REEN actions. So it's reenactions.
Okay.
And I also have it. So throughout the years, I've always recorded my sessions. Like I said, I'm a video professional. And I made a video of what it looks like, so they could see, within a minute what that 5-minute interaction looks like. And that's my biggest marketing tool is that video.
It's powerful. It's a powerful video. You go through that, you're looking at it, and you're looking at the portrayal, the acting, and You feel the sense of that person in that short clip that you do. I've seen that, and yeah, I truly feel that that was a good depiction of, if that comes, what to do.
Sure. The trouble is, people sometimes think that I'm actually selling a video for them to show at their meetings. And so that's a hurdle I have to get over marketing-wise, to explain, no, that's a video of what I've done, but what I do is a live interaction. So that's the challenge I'm having sometimes.
Let me go back a little for listeners and for myself too. So when you let's start with your safety journey. How did you get into the business? What were you doing prior? And I know you said you're always into some sort of acting and acting classes or video marketing, but how did you transition from what you were doing prior to let's get into safety and health?
Well, like I said, I'm always looking to do good work. I've to feel a sense of purpose, to help others, and I was it's all about who you know. And a friend of a friend was like, "Hey, I want some sort of role playing in my safety meetings," and I wasn't necessarily focused on safety, just doing good. But the opportunity arose. It was like, wow, what more noble cause can I do than help save lives? So it's funny because I don't have letters after my name, CSP, ASSP. I haven't taken any of those certifications. I took an OSHA 10-hour hazard training just so I could connect with the safety world. But that's where I'm just unique. I don't do public speaking to the whole crowd. I'm a one-trick pony. Orville Redenbacher once said, do one thing and do it well. And so I've just really leaned into just doing the safety thing over the last 8 years. And man, I tell you what, it feels good every time I do it, walking out of that building knowing that I just helped save some lives, or if not some injuries. Wow.
So I guess technically you're an outsider, like you said, looking in for safety and health.
Absolutely. I can't do what you do. I mean, it's just not how I'm wired. And I appreciate what you do. I mean, wow. I wish I had that in me. So I'm just leaning into my one-trick pony thing and see where it takes me.
Did you ever see the movie City Slickers?
Oh, 30 years ago.
Yeah. Do you remember at the very end, Curly was a character played by Jack Palance? He's one of those guys, if you don't remember. Palance. Yeah, he's got that stern look, and he always looks like, at any moment he could bite your head off. So Billy Crystal, at the end when Curly was dying, he was like the wise sage to Billy Crystal during that whole point of the dude ranch they're at. And he says, Curly, what's the secret of life? That was his name, Curly. What's the secret of life? Right. And then his dying moment or movement was he holds up that one little finger, and that was it. And then he dies. And the interpretation of that is focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And that is the secret of life from that movie perspective.
I bet it's nice to throw in some variety there. I play the drums and guitar, and I write songs too.
Hold on. You're a drummer and a guitarist?
Oh, yeah, and bass player and songwriter. Don't ask me to sing, though. That's bad news.
Look at the corner right there. I'm showing Tim my corner of my room where I'm broadcasting. What do you see in that corner, Tim?
It looks like an acoustic guitar.
Yeah, it is. And I've been a trained drummer for a long time. I used to play quite a bit in jazz, blues, all that stuff. I'm a musician. All the music you hear on the show, I wrote.
Right on. Good. Well, that's the point being is that, I have my other hobbies, but I think that it's also important for other people to consider what talents they have outside of safety that they can integrate into what they do safety-wise. Now, I don't know how I would bring a guitar and sing a song about, lift with your legs, not with your back, lift with your legs, not with your back.
That's perfect. People need to hear that.
At least consider, what other talents you may have that you may be apply to what you do with safety. And that's what I do with acting. I took this acting thing and threw it into safety.
Yep. And a little known fact, I used to travel with a acting company called New Life Drama Company in my early years, the early 19, 20, 21. It was a Christian drama company that traveled throughout the country doing skits and drama that we have written ourselves. And I was directing and writing skits along the way. And prior to that, in my younger years, I used to be a short-term mission on my my summers when I was finishing up school. On the summers, we'd go away, do short-term missions trip, and then come back for the next school year. But during those trips was drama trips. So again, from when I was younger and older, I know all about the blocking and the stage and the and everything else because I've done it. I've written a whole bunch of stuff. When you're writing actual skits, I haven't done plays. I've only done short skits, which is basically what you would see in Saturday Night Live. And
Right.
so I've only done those. I haven't done full-on plays or anything yet, but I do have a heart for drama. It's so freeing, and
Yes.
it could. There's so much therapy in drama now. Have you ever thought of that as far as your partnering with maybe a college or something that has drama therapy and bringing your product to them and saying, hey, what can we do to make this even better?
You see, it's amazing. We have a lot in common here with the music and the acting and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my problem is that I'm not very good with lines. I can tear into some drama, but having to remember a bunch of lines for an hour and a half long play or even a 10-minute play is a challenge for me. It's just my ADD and my brain goes haywire. So I prefer the improv style of acting.
Yeah, me too.
Integrate to what I do. So I don't have that kind of memory for all those moves. I've tried it. Trust me, it did not go well.
Yeah. So the suggestion might be, maybe with the same improv style or anything, I'm sure you're hitting some sort of psychological. I think I'm trying to think of the phrase or the words, but more of there's psychological theory that comes behind, especially the type of therapeutic drama that you do, that I think, technically speaking, you are performing a therapy.
I never looked at it that way, but I guess from a psychological point of view, what I did in my research when I've created this is what, as a person who's being told this bad news from an acting standpoint, what is really motivating them? You know what I mean? And a lot of it is denial. What I've learned is that, somebody comes to your house and gives you the worst news, that you just naturally, we're going to deny it in any way and roadblock what they're trying to say. And I've really tried to put that denial into my performances. So yes, it's a psychological work, that's for sure. Yeah,
I don't know. For me right now, a gut feeling is saying that growth for you may come from maybe even branching out and trying to do this in maybe high school, college, some as well as safety and health professionals. If you could get yourself into a high school auditorium to do one of their sessions, that might really help. And the safety side is perfect. You could also do that. Like, let's say it's coming prom time and everybody in prom time pulls out that old beat up card that was in the crash and they put it in front of the football field and they tell you, don't drink and drive. So maybe around prom time, you just go ahead and switch this up and do a scenario of kids that are going to be engaged with parties and drinking, and you guys work it out in a stage and say, all right, what do you do if this person asks you, hey, why don't you try this? So what do you do here? Well, why don't you drive me home and do those scenarios there? That might also branch out your business because you could do it with anything. You did it in safety. Why not do it with everything else?
I've never considered anything like that. And that is really something to consider about how to branch out and do other things. I guess I've just been so focused on this. I mean, wow. Okay, you're blowing my mind a little bit here, so I'm going to speak this. I'm going to write that down.
It was just a gut feeling from hearing from you. I don't see why you can't do that in different scenarios. Even safety. Try a hospital bloodborne pathogen spill, and you could do a scenario on how are we going to clean up this spill or something similar like that, which kind of takes away from the emotional side, but it could be an additional service. So you could have the fatality reinteraction. You could have this is what it looks like to be safe. Let's go ahead and play it out. and, do different services with the same idea of, hey, why don't you try this? So what do you do here? Well, why don't you drive me home? And do those scenarios there? That might also branch out your business because you could have, the safety side is with the same idea of actually planning it out. Does that make any sense there?
Yeah, and that really strikes a chord because, like I said, I've worked with kids on making prevention-related videos. So, working with kids is right in my alley in terms of the whole prom thing specifically. And so I'm going to definitely noodle on that. That's for sure.
Yeah, especially you're in almost Christmas. So if you're at the time of this recording, for you guys listening, some people listen later, some people listen when it comes out. But at the time of this recording, we're getting into just got into the first week of October. But when you're thinking of for me, when I'm thinking of any kind of client, any kind of business interaction, any kind of service that I want to do, I actually also have to think about my target market's needs, their calendar, what they're going through, and then I cross-reference some of that with OSHA's calendar, meaning if they have a new rule coming out or something else. So in effect, I am going to have on demand or not on demand. I forgot what it was, where it's not at will. There's a phrase for that where it's just in time. Just in time
right.
Training is I think your message, your acting. There's no one out there in any industry that I think of right now that's doing what you're doing for safety. There may be, but I haven't done the research. But offhand, marketing-wise, I haven't heard of anyone that's done that.
Yeah, I've looked, to connect with others who've done things similar to me, and I'm having a hard time myself. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. That means that that you are an innovator, and then that also means that you're the first in the market, which also will mean, as an aside, that being first means there'll be seconds and thirds and fourths.
Sure.
So what you have to do.
And that's okay. I just, whatever keeps people safe,
Yeah. And that's, the same thing with me. I don't mind mentoring safety consultants because, we're all in the same field. Sure, I've been accused of giving information to competitors. That's okay. The bottom line is I can't reach their audience. Only they can.
That's a good point. And, I'm not trying to get rich or certainly not famous, because I'm kind of a shy guy, in the world. But that's not really the point. It's really just that doing a noble effort, the good feeling of purpose that comes with that, really.
Yeah. On the day-to-day side for you, are you currently working a full-time job as you're doing this part-time?
Yes, I do have a 9-to-5, which I'm took the half day off for this. But, that 9-to-5 allows me some time to really market on LinkedIn. Maybe the boss isn't looking at me, so I'm on LinkedIn like. The job I have affords me a lot of unpaid time off if I choose so I can, attend safety meetings and do my thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that actually is a benefit because some people just can't get away no matter what. So that does help you. So I always feel that if you could start something while you're still working at your current company, that's the best way to do it. So you could get some traction first, see how you like it, see how other people receive you, and then go out and get you should always have your business license and everything first while you are still employed. And then you could branch out on your own pace.
Yeah. And I don't have enough business right now to afford, and I might not ever have enough business to afford to quit my 9-to-5, and that's okay too. But I would tell anybody who has to keep their 9-to-5 is, look for those opportunities to maintain your marketing while you're at work in any possible way you can. So, and not every job is going to afford you the ability to do that, but I found one that gives me the time to market on LinkedIn and otherwise, and also gives me the time to take time off if I do have some business.
Yeah. If you were to put a time on your typical time of how a session of your reenactments take, what kind of time frame is that?
It averages right about 5 minutes per person. So What happens during the safety meeting is each attendee is given a 5-minute time slot during the day, a predetermined 5-minute time slot to come see me. And it's pretty much averages out to 5 minutes per person.
Okay. And are you, who's in the room when you're doing these 5 minutes?
Just me and the attendee, one by one. That is it.
Okay.
So one-on-one.
All right. So that means that you could now market that you do individual or one-on-one sessions with each worker. So that means to someone who is, let's say, the decision maker, that if I want to mentor or if I want to coach somebody, this can actually be even more meaningful for them, because chances are they'll say what they want or say what the company wants them to say when they're cornered in a HR setting. But a setting like this will give that person the ability to really, speak out and express themselves. So I think that is something you should be writing in your marketing material, as to be saying, I am giving each maybe troubled employee, high-risk employee, however you word it, and giving each one of the high-risk employee personal attention towards their actions. And that means you could charge more. And then that also means that it's a value system for that company.
Interesting. I never thought about targeting the specific attendees that way.
Oh, yeah. Well, in the marketing material, just, this is what is going to be done. We will take your group in an individual session one by one, and we will interact with them or reenact with them what it would be for fatality because of behavior or because of situations, and, give your the list of what you do. Right. And then from there, that seems that it might be, if I was back working where I used to for the state of Florida, I would have hired that. States, cities, and counties may be your best friend. Try to get them, because they're the ones who have the most to lose. Because if there's a fatality, like one of my clients in Florida, they had a big city in Florida. They had a fatality where a wastewater operator fell through a grate that basically was a walkway, and he was walking on the grate to do his job, falls through, and he gets washed away and drowned, and they find him in another one of the process tanks later on. So after that, the city went through so much upheaval, and this was roughly about 4 years ago now. And I knew the worker too, because there's clients of mine, the people someone I've trained in the past and actually worked with in the past. So it was crushing for everybody. And this whole thing, and generally they say it takes about 10 years for a company to come back on their feet after an event like that. Right. So in that situation, I know for sure, especially the way that they were just in disarray, that if there was maybe a reenactment to let some people get stuff off, maybe some help with the employee action plan, the EA or employee, what's the EAP? Employee assistant, employee assistant program, EAP, right. So they could get some counseling in there and everything else. That might be, it could be the gateway for you to say, my reenactments will bring out certain feelings, certain expressions that now can be referred to the EAP, or get the employee to be referred to their EAP. A lot of companies actually, and this is public and private, a lot of public and private companies have employee assistance programs, but it's not being used. So they're paying for it and it's not being used. So you could be a bridge for that.
Sure. Well, no, that's you keep blowing my mind with these thoughts. I've never considered that as well.
See, and you don't actually have to type this down either, right? You can re-listen to it.
I'm going to forget this. This is good.
It just seems like when I was working, I was in a position where I was middle management. So I had 2 layers below me of frontline supervisors. And then I had 2 layers above me of upper management and executive management. So when I had to deal with my workers underneath me, I was dealing with everything. I was dealing with personalities, I was dealing with conflicts, I was dealing with injuries, and then I was also safety and health coordinator and a plant manager at the same time. So I got to see how all the services that companies pay for to help their workers doesn't get used. And
Right.
I also saw how people didn't want to express themselves in this, and it turned out to be behavior that eventually led them to get themselves in accidents because they got disinterested because there was issues that they never dealt with. So I think you're a bridge.
Yeah, it sounds like what you're saying is that there's a budget there that's just not being used. And I just need to say, hey, you have this budget. You have some corrective action that you need. Here I am. I said that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's just a gut feeling. So this is Sheldon spitballing with no notes. Whatever you feel will work for you. You have to think of it for yourself too.
Oh, keep spitballing. That's you're doing great.
Yeah. Every time I say spitballing with no notes, it makes me think of those guys who do those rap battles on TV where they put actors or movie stars or musicians together and they give them a topic and they, I think LL Cool J does that, right? The rap battles.
I think I've seen that what you're talking about. That gets crazy. Yeah.
No. So what's your, right now, your most pressing need that you would say for your business?
Pressing need. Somebody once said that if you have to explain it in terms of, what you do, you have to explain it, it's no good. And I think that's a hurdle for me is trying to explain what I do in 2 sentences or less in a way that it doesn't confuse anybody. So I think from a marketing standpoint and really just getting my name out there in what I do is my biggest hurdle right now.
Yeah. Getting your name out there is always a key, right? So I would, again, I think from what I'm hearing, the person, they've got whoever told you that if you have to explain it, that it's, everybody's got to explain it. There's no product out there that just comes out of the market unless it's like something as simple as a screwdriver, you see it, what it's good for. But any complex service, you're going to have to explain. So that I don't think in your case it really holds water.
Sure.
But I do feel that it's how you explain it and to whom you're explaining. Mm-hmm. It can't be a set explanation because everyone has their own experience. Every industry has their own touch points. So you're going to actually, I think the path would be to develop what you feel is your explanation in about your 5-minute video. Was it 5 minute, the video?
The video itself is about a minute long.
A minute? Well, that 1 minute video is your explanation. But I don't think you need to do anything else other than that. That is a great explanation. I would couple it with something else maybe. If you, and let's say there's any way you could offer an additional service for care, meaning I brought all these feelings out. Now we need to do something with these feelings. Partner with somebody. Maybe you could call your clients and say, or potential clients, who is the professionals that your company sends your workers to, and see if you could partner with them and say, I'm about to do something really big for this organization as far as emotions. What do you want me to get across? And maybe partner with them that way, if that makes any sense.
It does, and I've thought about that. And I guess what's good about what I do is that after everybody's seen me, it creates such an emotional charge so that when they have the discussions afterwards, whatever barriers I have to safety doesn't hold as much water in that emotionally charged state that they're in. So I see what you're saying. I need to communicate how important that after they see me, when they're emotionally charged, that they really have their attendees right where they want them. And what more can you do at that point? It's a very good point. Thank you, Sheldon.
Yeah, maybe even like a something you pay for, maybe independent, but just say, I'm going to do this reenactment with your group, and then afterwards, let's do I also have an upsale of a course that I worked with my local community college, and this is maybe it's one of your video courses that you put together and say, this one is for how do you get past the stages of grief, or how do you express yourself, or how do you talk about things, and then now you've got an upsell, so they're seeing your performance, they're seeing a reenactment, and then the aftercare is going to be these guys got to learn these people because you got to, the workforce. The workforce has an open wound right now. Here's a pathway to patch that. So that's something you may not be a professional at, but if you could work with somebody that friend, family, church member, anything that is a professional, say, what do you suggest? Or maybe you could give me combined information, and we'll create a package that I could either put in a video format in short. When I say short, I mean 3-minute lessons, 2-minute lessons, up to 5 minutes of, here's how many stages of grief is it? I forget that one.
Like 5 or something like that?
Is it 5? Yeah, I keep thinking 5 or 7, right?
Yeah.
So maybe something like that, where you can illustrate those things for them in your acting, illustrate those stages of grief, and each one of those stages is 5 separate 5-minute videos or 3 minutes videos, and now you have a product.
Right, and so this is where you're really blowing my mind here is what I'm doing now is I'm taking them through the reenaction, and then I'm gone. So what I'm hearing you say is, okay, now that you've got them in this emotional state, what add-on can I give towards that conversation that they'll have about what they experienced with me, whether that be, any kind of media, really. I mean, even on a piece of paper, what did you learn? What are you going to do differently from that perspective? That's where you're blowing my mind. Okay. Absolutely.
That seems like a natural fit, right? Where if you are opening these things, that was great. If you're opening up these feelings, and then now you can say this is, stage 1 is going to be the reenactment, stage 2 will be whatever this video in, and then I'll come back every whatever time, or you refer people to their EAP now that they acknowledged that this is what they're going through, and or if you want to start a team, a 1099 person, and say, you could be part of my team. I'll refer them to you. I get a 25% referral fee. And now it probably works best city for city or wherever you go. I'm not too sure your geographic distance of where you go for your reenactments, but, before you get your calendar set up, you might go ahead and call a couple of places ahead of time and say, we could refer them to this place.
Right.
Especially private. You really want to, if it's a hospital setting, you're probably not going to get the percentage, the referral percentage. And that's not bad, because truly there is referrals for everything. That's my brother works in the medical field, and what he does is he actually gets doctors to refer patients to his facility, and then they actually get a fee or something else for that. And there's companies and services that do that. So that might be a branch for you. I don't know. You would have to think about that.
No, I'm going to noodle over all of these things that you've told me. That's for sure. Thanks for opening up the mind here. Wow.
Have you ever thought of doing an acting troupe where you guys, maybe 3-4 of you get together and you do a reenactment in its own setting? You might, get an outline and you do one of those riffs for the actual wording, so you're not scripted, but you have an outline of what you're going to say, and then do that.
That's something to consider too. I need to write all this down.
You got it on the video or the podcast, right? And I'll give you a little bit of this video too, so you can have that. So you'll have both. What's your experience with right now? Now that you're getting a good understanding of safety and health from an outsider's point of view, what do you feel the industry is either doing well or lacking compared to your experience with other things you've done?
I guess that's from my perspective. I just don't know the industry well enough to really comment on it. I mean, I see a lot of things, a lot of conversations on LinkedIn and whatever. So I guess where I'm at right now is somebody once said, get started, then get smarter. So I'm somewhere in the middle of between getting started, getting smarter. So that's really where I'm at now. I'm just trying to absorb all the information that I possibly can. And I'm right there in the middle. So
yeah, that's perfect. I like that saying. Because it's funny, people could they'll visualize all day long, they'll consume content and information all day long, but they'll never get started.
Oh yeah, and that's the only way to learn. I mean, when I started out, I'm not focusing on the right audience with my message. I'm talking to people who are looking at me like, why are you focusing on me? Or, hello, go over there. I'm like, oh, wrong way. So you're going to get a lot of wrong ways as you get this started, and you're going to fail miserably, and it's all cliche. But that's the only way to learn is to do it. So get started, then get smarter.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be stuck, analysis paralysis. If you sit there and try to figure out how you're going to do it right, exactly. Go do it wrong. Go do it wrong and then change. That's what I always try to tell people.
I got a lot of wrong things out there, and I'm trying to get it, changed up. And I remember the safety culture.online site that I started. My idea was to have a membership site with safety culture topics and a few things to help with that. I'm still developing it, so anyone steals it before I get it developed, we'll have at it. But but I did it. The site's actually there. Safetyculture.online is there. And I have it as a resource. I keep updating it, but it's just not the way I like it yet. And I'm going to keep working at it, but you got to do something, right? You got to, get that product, get that service, whatever, get the thing out of your brain and into the world.
Right. And you have to get feedback. I mean, it's hard to know if you're doing it right or not until you get feedback from people such as yourself, which you're doing right now. And I really appreciate that. So that speaks to that is go do it the wrong way and learn through feedback. Feedback is a gift. Mm-hmm. And anytime you get some feedback, negative or positive, you need to actively look for that. That's what I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still thinking about you doing a group or something that will go out and show one of these reenactments, and then say, hey,
the middle over for sure.
Yeah, because that could be a free introduction to let's say you're going to do. A lot of places have, especially they do Chamber of Commerce meetings, and they have guest speakers for Chamber of Commerce meetings or construction associations. Any of these associations really have certain times that they do freebies for their clients, the people who are their members. So if you got a hold of your local association there in Ohio and just said, Safety Association, say, this is what I do. I do reenactments. If you do something for your people quarterly or monthly, will you let me do a reenactment with my team? And I'll show you what we could do. And then when you're done with your team reenactment, just say, imagine this in your company, that I'm doing this one-on-one with your workers. Any other questions or comments or anything you want to add before you plug and tell everybody where to find you and your websites again and everything else?
Well, again, if you don't use me, I would tell people that at least find some way to move away from the technical aspects of their message, and where can you interject some emotion into it and some interactivity. Because if you're actively participating in a message, I think that goes a long way in changing people's behaviors. Again, my website is reenactions.com, REENACTIONS. And, the best way to get a hold of me and talk about what I do is just call the old-fashioned way, 614-949-5972. Because it's the best way I can explain it is face-to-face, or at least, on the phone, than having to explain this, on paper. That's for sure.
Like actually use your cell phone to call?
It's crazy.
Wow. I didn't think the cell phone could be used for calling. It's great for checking in and emails.
Yeah. Right, and it's unheard of these days, but I think it's the best way to really communicate what I do and answer the questions that I have related to it, that's for sure.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you so much. I had fun.
All right, Sheldon, I appreciate you.
All right, have a great one. Rest of your day.
Do you want to be a safety consultant? Listen to Dr. Jay Allen of Safety FM give his experience after taking the Safety Consultant Blueprint course.
I have actually done research on different consultants and looked at different consulting courses and so on. There is a pretty fancy, very expensive consulting course that is out there. I have actually purchased the consulting course, was interested in it. It has good information, don't get me wrong. But you have a consulting course that really drives people onto focusing on safety and how to become a safety consultant. I will tell you, on your particular course, there was better information in that particular regards than the other consulting course that was more of a generalist form. But I felt like I got more information out of yours on you giving people direct path on what to do step by step. But I really think that you have a genuine good product there that can really assist people if they're interested in becoming a safety consultant.
Register for the Safety Consultant Blueprint at www.safetyconsultantblueprint.com. Enter code PODCAST for a special discount.
Welcome back to the Safety Consultant Podcast. And before we get into the tip of the week, I just want to remind you to go ahead and take some action. Whatever podcatcher service you're listening to, go ahead and give me an actual review, like the show, share it with your friends, anyone that you think could get a kick out of this show, starting their own consulting business or even their own safety consulting business, which is the topic that I use. Go ahead and share this to them. And please, I would love it if you take the time and review this show on whatever service you're listening to. That'd be awesome for me. Greatly appreciate it. I also want to remind you that for the month of October 2019, we are having a Safety Consultant Blueprint course sale. Each week, we have a special discount. So the week one was 40% off. I got in trouble, can't do that anymore. So each successive weeks is going down. So go ahead and check and see what the discount is this week. So check it out when you get a chance. Let's get right into the tip of the week. So the tip of the week is to use all of your skills to earn money. Why not? You have this stuff and you are blessed or talented with it. If you do music, if you do acting, whatever you do, use that and find a way to monetize that, which will be outside of your consulting, but it's still money into the family. I've talked about this in several ways. It's in my book. That's a good way for you to release whatever creativity is inside of you, and then also find a way to make supplemental income. So be creative. Really think about what you want to do. Like for instance, for me, I love music. I've been producing music forever. There's even a music episode of the Safety Consultant Podcast. So go find the music episode. Go scroll down, find that one. All the music you hear from the show is all my music. So I do it all, even the music in most commercials, I should say, because I did have some commercials that was produced professionally. But other than that, most of the music that you hear is from things that I've done. So if you go to sheldonprimus.com/music, I have it available there for purchase. So you could download any of the songs that you like, that you hear week after week from listening to me. You could have an opportunity to download it. So that's an example of what I mean of using all your talents, all your skills to bring in money. You don't have to bring in money just by being a safety consultant or trainer. So that is the tip of the week. See you next Monday.
This podcast is being sponsored by safetyconsultantblueprint.com.
This episode has been powered by Safety FM.